Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Pointless Top 10, a show where we make top 10 lists out of pointless things. Why are we flying by this pointless statue in Booty Bay? Because inside pointless things are treasure. Let's begin. 10. Number 10 is the Twisting Nether Shipwreck. And this is a shipwreck located between Hellfire Peninsula and Netherstorm. And at first you see this shipwreck and you're like, okay, whatever, it's just some random scenery they put out there on the rocks, right? But it's actually a bit of an Easter egg. So according to HiddenAzeroth.com, which is a great website by the way, Kirinvar Village is an Alliance port city that was badly damaged when Ner'zhul sundered Draenor, thrusting parts of it into the Twisting Nether. With the sudden loss of the planet surrounding the Outlands, the ocean dropped away along with anything that was in them. Plants, sea life, and ships all fell into oblivion as the Outlands were broken away. And so this ship was clearly docked at Kirinvar Village, and when the water rushed away from the boat, it began to drop into the void. But the boat was actually saved by crashing into a section of the rock that had traveled with the rest of Outland, which would explain the dropped anchor and the gaping hole in the side of the boat. And so you might think like, wow, the people on the ship didn't go crashing into the void. Good for them. But then you realize that if they're on this boat, they're just stuck on an island, essentially, just looking out into the void. And then you're just stranded there until you die. Which probably happened to this skeleton man. And so honestly, I think this is actually one of the coolest shipwrecks in the game, but I put it at number 10 because 9.5 years ago when I made the first Pointless Top 10 Shipwrecks, it was like one of the first Pointless Top 10s I ever made, I didn't even put this on the list. And I was like, you know what? In honor of that, I'm going to put this ship at number 10. Because even if people click off the video right now and they're like, this video sucks, at least they got to learn about a cool shipwreck. And that's why it's number 10. 9. Number 9 is the Ruined Reaches Shipwreck, which is located along the southern coast of Azshara. And what I love about this shipwreck is the amount of moss that has taken over this ship. It's like covered in moss. And it's one of the things that I haven't really seen in any other shipwreck in World of Warcraft. There's a lot of ships wrecked like this one, but this one specifically just has so much moss on it, and I just love that about it. Actually, would that be algae? Maybe it's algae, I don't know. Let's look this up. All right, so there's quite a few differences, but it does seem that algae grows under the water, while moss typically grows on land, on like rocks and trees and stuff. So this boat is actually covered in algae, most likely. I goofed it, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I just like this shipwreck because it's covered in algae. And there's actually one of the houses over there that's in Pointless Top 10 houses in the middle of nowhere. Look at that. Small world. And that's why the Ruined Reaches Shipwreck is number 9. 8. Number 8 is Trade Prince Gallywix's yacht that crashed along the shipwrecked shore on the Lost Isles. So if you make a new goblin character and do all the quests around Kazan at Bilgewater Port, you eventually get to a point where Deathwing causes the volcano to erupt and everybody has to evacuate. That's when Trade Prince Gallywix offers his yacht up to people for a price to escape the island. Then while out at sea, an Alliance vessel attacks and sinks the yacht and it crashes into the Lost Isles. And so I picked this shipwreck for a few reasons. Number 1 is I actually do like the giant goblin head on the front of the yacht. I think it's pretty cool. Number 2 is that this is literally an entire area named after a shipwreck. This is the Shipwreck Shore. How could I not include an area named the Shipwreck Shore in a video about shipwrecks? And finally, this is a pretty massive shipwreck that occurred. There's parts still out in the water, there's goblins and inner tubes out there waiting to be rescued. Like, it's pretty crazy. And so for all those reasons, that's why the Gallywix Yacht Shipwreck is number 8. 7. Number 7 are the Fogcliff Strand shipwrecks, and these shipwrecks are cool because they are caused by sirens. So according to the WoW Wiki, Fogcliff Strand is a siren-infested stretch of coast on the northern bank of Tiragard Sound. A trading convoy captained by Henry Hardwick tried to take a detour through the area and ended up running around, with many of the sailors subsequently falling victim to the siren's song. The remaining survivors camp at the 2 main shipwrecks, one in the southwest and one at the flagship in the southeast. And I'm not gonna lie, I initially picked this place because I was like, oh, this is cool. It's like foggy, so the ships must have just crashed in the fog. And then I remembered like, oh wait, isn't there a quest here with sirens? And then I was like, oh yeah, there's the sirens. So like, it's actually a bit of both, right? It's probably foggy and they hear the sirens, but what ends up happening is Henry asks the adventurers to clear the sailors' minds with a stein of grog that you hold up under their nose, and then it breaks the enchantment and they turn friendly and run away. But otherwise, they try to fight you and you might have to fight them back. But overall, it's a cool area with a lot of little details around and some mythological lore behind it. So that's why the Fogcliff Strand shipwrecks are number 7. 6. Number 6 are the Salty Kraken shipwrecks, and the Salty Kraken shipwrecks are more about the Salty Kraken himself than the shipwrecks. I will say the shipwrecks do look pretty cool, but the Salty Kraken is apparently located in 3 areas. There's one in High Mountain, one in Stormheim, and one just out in the open water, I believe near Dalaran. But from what I read on Wowhead, killing this thing seems to be 100% pointless, so I already love it. It's not associated with any achievements, it doesn't fight back, it doesn't reset when you surface for air, it doesn't drop loot, and it doesn't seem to have a death animation. So already I was like, dude, I gotta put this guy in the list. He probably watches every single Pointless Top 10, without a doubt. And like I said, the Shipwreck's pretty cool as well. It's, you know, it's a ship. It's wrecked. I don't know what else there is about it. You know, there's some stuff growing on it. Algae. We did learn about algae earlier, and look, there's more algae. So for all those reasons, the Salty Kraken Shipwreck is number 6. 5. Number 5 is this shipwrecked burning ship above the water in the fjord of the Howling Fjord. And I don't really know the purpose of this. I don't know if it's like to show people coming into the fjord like, hey, watch out, you know, or I don't know if it's been recently burned or if it's been burning. I mean, listen, it's been burning for a decade at this point, right? It's been burning for over a decade. But I don't know. I really don't know the lore behind this. I tried to look into it and I couldn't find anything, but I think it just looks cool. And it may be one of those things where they put it up there to scare people away. Like maybe you're sailing in and then you're like, what is that? And you're like, oh God, it's a burning ship. Ah! And then you turn around, like maybe it's that type of thing. Although I don't know how they keep it burning for so long. Although maybe it's magic. We are in a game that has magic in it, so it could be that. And that's really it. It's just an aesthetically pleasing ship hanging above the fjord. Although I don't know if it'd work on me. I'd be like, dude, that ship looks sick. You know what I mean? So either way, it's a cool ship and it's wrecked. And that's why it's number 5. 4. Number 4 is the Forgotten Shore. And no, I didn't do that because it rhymed, but it did work out. The Forgotten Shore is located on the far southeast edge of Dragonblight and is perpetually shrouded with mist. The natural bay is choked with the disintegrating wrecks of ships, the sands littered with shattered wind-worn wood, and many ghosts wandering aimlessly. And so the lore behind this place is that Arthas wanted to kill Mal'Ganis, and he was like, we need to kill him. And then his dad was like, no, you're coming back home, Arthas. You got to get out of that Northrend place. It sucks. And he was like, no, we have to stay here. And so he's like, all right, we need to get rid of the ships that we go home on. So he hired these mercenaries and he's like, hey, you guys want to come burn some ships? And they're like, yeah, all right. So he paid them money to go burn the ships. And then all of his men who are out in Northrend came back to the ships. They're like, hey, where's our ships? And then Arthas is like, yo, these mercenary guys that are definitely weren't hired by me, burn the ships down, get them. And then they're like, all right, the mercenaries are just like, what the shit? And then they die. And that's pretty much an extremely accurate reinterpretation of what happens. So that's why these shipwrecks are so cursed. And that's why they're number 4. 3. Number 3 is the Hemet Nessingwary shipwreck located in the Sholazar Basin, and pretty much this is where the Nessingwary camp is located after his ship crashed through the river's entrance from the North Sea. And I love how you can still see part of the ship is just stuck in that river entrance while the other part is used as their base camp. There's also some ship planks and boards scattered around the river, although I don't know if these are from that ship because these actually look different from the color of the planks on the ship, or maybe it's just they did it and they didn't expect somebody to really analyze the minute details of this shipwreck. And this is another thing that I never really thought about that much. I'm always just like, oh yeah, Hemet Nessingwary's in Sholazar Basin, whatever. But I never really thought about the process of him getting here, right? Like they're just cruising along in the sea and then they're like, hey, turn into there, go into that river. And they go into the river entrance and it's just like, and their ship just crashes and it just breaks apart. And they're like, I guess we're here now. And so for all those reasons, that's why the Hemet Nessingwary shipwreck is number 3. 2. Number 2 are the Caverns of Time shipwrecks. And listen, I love the Caverns of Time. It's one of my favorite places in the game. I've put it in so many pointless top 10s, and this is no exception. There are both shipwrecks on the inside of the Caverns of Time and on the outside of the Caverns of Time. So there's shipwrecks all over this place. And what always blows my mind is how little people actually know about the Caverns of Time. I always try to look into the lore stuff, and it's just like, yeah, it's just crazy thing that's there. It's like, what? But you know, there's buildings all over, there's towers, there's houses, like there's everything all over this place. But there are a lot of ships that have been wrecked. I don't know if they were already wrecked and then they just showed up at the Caverns of Time, or if they crashed into the Caverns of Time and now they're just there. I have no idea. This one ship I don't even think I've ever seen before in the game. Or maybe it is an actual ship we've seen, but it just has all these roots and stuff growing onto it and it's just been here forever. I have no idea. And that's what I love about it. And that's why These shipwrecks are number 2. 1. And number 1 are the Spears of Azshara located in Nazjatar, and according to the WoW Wiki, the shipwrecks of the Hungry River Beast and Old Blanchie are located here. When Queen Azshara opened the seas using the Tidestone of Galganeth, a great number of Horde and Alliance ships wrecked in its reefs. And in the original concept map of Nazjatar, the basin was known as the Ship Graveyard. And I really just love how this area looks. I mean, there's this red mystical mist kind of radiating from everything. There's these big wave water walls. And then there's just a wide variety of shipwrecks. Like, this is the biggest variety of shipwrecks I think I've seen in World of Warcraft. So how could I not put this at number 1? I never thought I'd put something from Nazjatar at number 1 on one of these lists, but here we are. That's why the Nazjatar Spears of Azshara shipwrecks are number 1. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Pointless Top 10. If you want to see more Pointless Top 10s, you can go check out Houses in the Middle of Nowhere that I mentioned earlier in this episode, or go watch Pointless Top 10 things I forgot to put in other Pointless Top 10s from the other week. Also, consider supporting the channel by checking out patreon.com/Wowcrendor or becoming a channel member. Okay? Okay. See ya.